Republican Party is no longer conservative. It has switched its allegiance from the principles that gave it purpose to a man whose only purpose is...
Adam Kinzinger, the congressman, just went full WWE SmackDown mode on Donald Trump, live on TV. No teleprompter, no filter, just straight-up verbal takedowns. Was it a political roast or an all-out therapy session? Either way, Kinzinger unloaded years of pent-up frustration in one explosive rant, leaving Trump scrambling for a response.
Military guy, I've always respected strength in leadership. And Trump is the opposite of that. He's a whiny, weak, small, tiny man who is scared to death.
And just like that, Donald Trump is making headlines again. Not for defending democracy, not for some act of great heroism. No, this time, it is because Adam Kinzinger just verbally folded him like a cheap lawn chair on live television. And what a spectacle it was. Kinzinger, the former Republican congressman turned full-time Trump critic, decided today was the day. And when we say he went off, we mean no holding back. No pleasantries, no filters, just a full-scale rhetorical takedown of the man who somehow made K a part of American history.
Donald Trump is a weak man pretending to be strong. He is a small man pretending to be big. He's a faithless man pretending to be righteous. He's a perpetrator who can't stop playing the victim.
It all began when Trump, in classic fashion, took to his favorite platform to unleash yet another rant, packed with half-baked conspiracies, personal attacks, and his signature mix of victimhood and bravado. But this time, Kinzinger was not about to let it slide. With the precision of a seasoned prosecutor and the intensity of someone who had been holding back for far too long, he delivered a verbal beatdown so brutal that even Trump's most loyal supporters...
The stench, the stink, how bad is it? What do you know about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, think about the best way to describe it. I've tried to take armpits, ketchup, like a butt, and kind of put it in a blender, and makeup, and put that all in a blender, and and you bottle that as a cologne. That's kind of that. But it's amazing. I've been amazed that, everybody's just kind of learning about this now. But again, I think the bigger point is he's a weak human being. But look at this. He had his people respond to me on this.
Kinzinger called out Trump's endless grievances, his obsession with power, and his complete inability to take responsibility for anything ever. But he did not stop there. He went deeper, exposing Trump's failures in leadership, his tendency to throw allies under the bus, and his uncanny ability to make everything about himself. No matter the situation, the former congressman even mocked Trump's so-called tough guy persona, reminding everyone that when the January 6th insurrection unfolded, the self-proclaimed fearless leader was nowhere to be seen, just watching it play out from the comfort of the White House like a reality TV episode.
Because he's not going to take on actual tough people, because then he may have a fight, and he's a coward. I mean, he really is scared to death. He's I think of a 6-year-old boy that's still trying to earn his father's approval. That's Donald Trump. But he can try to pick a fight with our friends because he knows it's not going to start a war, and it makes him look tough. He looks super tough in his mind next to Canada. The other interesting thing is he claims that we got a bad trade deal with Canada and Mexico. It's like 1984, where we're supposed to forget what happened yesterday when he negotiated the USMCA and called it the greatest trade agreement ever negotiated. So what is it? Trump, make a decision. It is so counter to who America's soul is. We rebelled against exactly what we have in government right now. And I think that natural kind of feeling is still alive in the American people. And so we want to take America back from the oligarch class thing. And I think that could start to develop over the next few months and really turn into something that...
The takedown was so ruthless, so unfiltered, that you could almost hear the collective gasp from the political world. This was not just a critique, it was a dismantling. The kind of political evisceration that makes headlines, sparks heated debates, and, most importantly, gets under Trump's notoriously thin skin. Let's be honest, Trump's ability to handle criticism is about as sturdy as a soggy paper towel. One moment he is boasting about being the strongest, the smartest. the best thing to happen to America since fried food. And the next, he is rage posting in all caps because someone on TV dared to tell the truth about him. And this time, it was Kinzinger delivering the blows. Now, to be fair, Kinzinger is no stranger to taking shots at Trump. At this point, it is practically his full-time job. But this takedown? This was an art form, the kind of masterfully executed verbal destruction that makes you stop, put your phone down, and slow clap in admiration.
Tell me he was the worst president the United States of America ever had. He was a liar. He was a charlatan. And he was a man with a more fragile ego than anybody I've ever met, which the irony of it is he walks around like the tough guy, but he's the one that gets more offended and wounded and sad than anybody I know. I'm also going to tell him that it was the moment that I hope America hit the bottom of, its slide towards authoritarianism and the moment we woke up. I hope he's proud of what I've done. I'm confident he will be because, short of this thing really going off the rails, this thing being our country in this experiment, I think we're going to look back and say, wow, that was a moment we might have flown too close to the sun, and we can never do that again. That's my hope and prayer, because if not, we're in real trouble.
Let's just say Kinzinger took aim at Trump's greatest hits, his never-ending victim complex, his devotion to playing golf while pretending to care about the country, and his uncanny ability to turn every situation into a so-called witch hunt against himself. Yes, the witch hunt defense, Trump's go-to excuse for everything. Mishandling classified documents? Witch hunt. Accused of inciting an insurrection? Witch hunt. Gets his McDonald's order wrong. Definitely a witch hunt. It is as if his brain is programmed with a single response to any form of accountability. Kinzinger also highlighted Trump's unique leadership style, which mostly consists of shouting adjectives about himself while dodging responsibility for everything. Strong, powerful, genius, yet somehow always the victim. The man could trip over his own feet and still find a way to blame wind turbines, immigrants, and the FBI all in the same sentence.
And he went to the people that would reflect back to him. Again, a narcissistic personality seeks this out. People that reflect back his own things that he needs to make himself feel good, that tell him how good he is. And that, of course, was the far right. They were happy to do that. Initially, they manipulated Donald Trump, and then now Donald Trump owns them. And so I think that's all it is. I think it is all about himself. He can't be seen as a loser, and he has no empathy for anything but himself. And I think that's really the best explanation of why
And then there is the so-called business genius, the one thing Trump's most devoted fans will defend as if their very existence depends on it. This is the same man who somehow managed to bankrupt a casino, a business literally designed to make money no matter what. Think about that for a second. The House always wins, unless you are Donald Trump, in which case even the House files for Chapter 11. And yet, despite this mastermind, that is like calling someone a brie.
Despite Trump's personal attacks against you and promises of retribution, not to mention many death threats that you have received since you have been speaking out, you say that you have zero fear of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Why?
Look,
how, I should say.
I've been to war, okay? Donald Trump, I'm not trying to just be partisan shots here. He is a small, weak man who is scared to death of people. He's scared to death of strong people. And so for me, I refuse to be intimidated. I didn't break the law. All I did was get answers for the American people. If you want to come after me, you have to make something up. And by the way, if you make something up, I'm going to use that and become twice the pain in your backside that I ever have been if you're going to come after me for no reason. And the American people won't stand for it. They may have elected Donald Trump, but they still want the law and the justice system to work.
And then there is his infamous claim, I hire the best people. You know, the same best people who either end up in prison, turn on him with tell-all books, or get discarded the moment they stop groveling at his feet. In reality, his hiring process boils down to two simple criteria: blind loyalty and a willingness to risk federal indictments on his behalf. The second someone questions him, or worse, refuses to break the law for him, they suddenly become a loser, a rhino, or part of the so-called deep state conspiracy. And let's not forget the legal fees. Trump demands loyalty, but has the financial commitment of a deadbeat dad. His attorneys, campaign staff, and former allies are left scrambling to cover their own legal bills while he continues holding overpriced Mar-a-Lago dinners to fund yet another round of lawsuits. At the end of the day, Trump's entire persona is a house of cards, propped up by bluster, grievance, and a fan base willing to ignore reality as long as he keeps feeding them the outrage they crave. But reality has a funny way of catching up. Even the best cons eventually run out of marks. And then there is the absolute circus that is Donald Trump's legal troubles. The man has more court dates than a washed-up reality TV star trying to stay relevant. Every other week, it is a fresh indictment, a new scandal, or yet another desperate attempt to dodge accountability. At this point, if he sneezes too aggressively, there is probably a prosecutor somewhere drafting a multi-count indictment for reckless nasal discharge.
Yeah, there's no empathy for anything. There's no empathy for the country. I mean, my guess is probably a significant amount of our presidents have been narcissists, right? You got to be to run for president to an extent, but they're not narcissists to the point where they're going to burn down the country. They understand that their job and their moment in history is to try to make the country better. Some have, some haven't, but they do their best as flawed people. Donald Trump doesn't care about any of that. All he cares.
Trump's legal troubles read like the worst sequel series imaginable: Law and Order, MAGA Victim Unit. There are federal cases, state cases, civil suits, and criminal indictments. It is a legal buffet, and he is being force-fed every dish. Between hush money payments, classified document hoarding, the January 6th chaos, and whatever else is brewing, his legal team probably has his number on speed dial with a custom ringtone that just screams urgent. And yet, in the middle of all this, his most loyal followers still cling to the idea that he is the ultimate strongman, the indestructible leader who can take on the so-called deep state and win. But let's be honest, he cries witch hunt more times in a day than an actual witch did during the Salem trials. Every legal consequence is framed as proof of a vast conspiracy. Every indictment is spun as political persecution. And somehow, despite being the self-proclaimed alpha male of politics,
Donald Trump is a loser who keeps losing, and I think to lose again will be important to heal this nation. And frankly, you have one very sick party in the GOP to begin to heal that.
That is what makes Adam Kinzinger's takedown so brutal, yet so satisfying. He did not just expose Trump's legal mess. He reminded everyone that Trump's entire political persona is built on the most exhausting brand of self-pity imaginable. For a guy who claims to be the toughest, strongest, most fearless leader in modern history, he sure does complain a lot. Nothing is ever his fault. The media is unfair. The courts are biased. The judges are corrupt. The DOJ is out to get him. Even Fox News is not loyal enough anymore. If things do not go his way, it is rigged. If he loses, it was stolen. If he gets caught, it was a setup. At this point, Trump's political career is not about leadership. It is about grievance. He is not running for president. He is running for the title of America's most aggrieved man. And Kinzinger, like many others, is simply tired of the endless tantrums. Because let's be real, if strength were measured by the ability to take responsibility,